a good day so far? I feel like we've lost, we've got a low body count, we've lost people to drink pool, people are passed out in the bar, probably like craving toys, how's that, right? Yeah, we're having a good time? Having a good time so far? Awesome, okay. So let's finish this guy's daytime schedule with the last panel we've got for today until we turn this place into lunch. So without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage, Kathreen Khavari. Welcome, very, very welcome. First time at TF Nation. We have a lot of guests sometimes, return visitors, like we have with David and with Greg, and it's fun to get amazing new talent that hasn't graced our Birmingham halls before. So yeah, really, really big welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be here.
Amazing. So, first question I will start with guests. Can you tell us how you got into the world of voice acting? Because I believe you've got quite an interesting and unique start to the industry that's quite different from other people. So do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, sure. Well, the way I got into the acting world in general was I had always wanted to act since I was a little kid. And I told my parents I wanted to, and they weren't thrilled about the idea. And they said, okay, well, why don't you go ahead and get your degree in something else, and then you can do whatever you want. So then I went and got my degree in public health, and then I went, and I was like, well, acting's impractical, and so I was like, well, let me just keep going to school. And so then I went and got my master's in infectious disease control, and in London, and then I went back home and I worked in public health for a little bit, but then at nights and weekends I would take acting, theater classes, and whatever I could get my hands on, I would do. And then I eventually quit my job, and then I moved to New York, I did some theater there, and then I moved to LA, and I wrote a short film where I played like 11 different characters, and that went viral, and from that I was like, I want to do voiceover too. So then I got voiceover agents, and they sent me auditions, and one of the first auditions was Ms. Marvel, and then I booked it, luckily enough, and that's how it all started.
Amazing. Yeah. That's incredible. How did any of your kind of colleagues back in the public health industry take that transition to like, hey guys, I'm leaving, I've got an acting job? It's pretty cool.
I'm sure everybody was like, what is she talking about? I had gone back to one of my mentors before when I was in public health, and he was like, I told him, like, I think I want to act now. And I remember he gave me like a stunned look, and he was like, why? And I was like, I don't know, I just enjoy being other people. And he was like, huh, you enjoy being other people. And I was looking at him, he's like, oh, maybe you should go talk to someone about this. And I was like, wait, no, but because I've always wanted to do this. And I was like, okay, well, he doesn't get it. But my friends and colleagues, I think they got it. I was always the one that was like, you know, at karaoke, getting up and being a lot louder and, you know, moving out around a lot more than everybody else. So people weren't like that surprised. And then of course my childhood friends were kind of like, oh, finally, you've been talking about this forever. Like, now you're doing it. So, and I'm still friends with all my grad school friends. So that's really, really nice.
Nice, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, what a change of pace. And what can you tell us about that first role then, as obviously Ms. Marvel, who's such a well-known character, you know, for so many reasons, such an important character that obviously you brought to life?
Yeah, Ms. Marvel was amazing. It came at like such a great time because there wasn't a lot of, I mean, there still isn't, but there really wasn't any great, you know, Muslim representation, and to have like a young Muslim girl who, you know, was born and raised in the States, just like I have been, and I visit Iran a lot because my family's from Iran, and so to have a character that was so similar to like my background and my experience, and then to have her be just so fun and spunky, and a character that really loves her family and is excited about being a superhero, to the point where like she's a fan of superheroes and now she gets to be one. There were so many things about Ms. Marvel that I connected to, and I was so grateful that I was, you know, able to voice her for as long as I was. So it was a very unique and beautiful experience, and then of course to then see that become a live action show that is so successful and people love was just such an added blessing.
Amazing. Okay, and then moving on to Transformers, of course, which is, you know, where we all know you from. How did you audition or end up auditioning for Earthspark?
Yeah, I got an audition like I do, but I didn't know what it was for. I think there was an NDA for it. It was called something else. It was under the guise of a different name. And I auditioned for it, and I don't think I did a callback for it. I think it was just an audition. And then I got it, and then I found out it was for a Transformers robot, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And it was a robot that had never, it was a new robot, and so it was great to be the first voice of Twitch. It was super exciting. I mean, I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm part of this franchise now. Because I grew up, you know, I was an 80s kid, so I watched that first generation of Transformers animation, and so it was really, really cool to then be a part of this world that I had literally seen as like a child.
That was actually going to be my next question, was how familiar were you with the Transformers franchise before learning that you got that role?
Yeah, as a kid I did watch that first generation. I, as an adult, fell off, and I think I had just seen the live action film, the first live action film. But no, I mean, as a kid I had Transformers. I watched a lot of TV as a kid, and Transformers was definitely one of the shows that I was super into. So it was wild to then be a part of that world.
Yeah, amazing. Did you end up like researching any more Transformers or watching any more once you kind of got the audition, like when you were shaping the character?
Yes, I definitely, especially when I went to Comic-Con, I did more of like a deep dive to and watched more of the live action films and got more into it. But yeah, it was once I got it, and once I was like, oh my gosh, I'm part of this thing now, it became a lot more intimidating. It was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to learn because it's quite a big world, and there's still so much I don't know. But there was a lot that I've learned along the way too.
I mean, it is a huge franchise, and I don't think there's really any of us, maybe McPhee aside, that actually knows it all, so don't worry. Very few of us have ever watched everything and read everything and know about everything, so I think that's the beauty about it. It's not just one small bit of lore that's things canon or not canon. We have all these different worlds, different, you know, parallel universes, really.
Yeah, it's a huge world, so I'm still a student of the Transformers.
So obviously you played Twitch, who is a brand new character, so there's no kind of previous versions to draw from. Did you find that quite intimidating, or did you find that quite freeing, that you could help, like you could, you know, voice the character or be the character in your own way?
No, I found it very freeing because I know that like it's a lot more intimidating when there are like these big shoes to fill with previous voice actors and previous artists that have been able to come in and bring life to a character, and then suddenly you're faced with you know, making sure the fans are still happy with your iteration. So for me, it was a huge way. I mean, of course, I wanted to also make sure that it was a character that people loved, even though it was a new character. But the way that she was written, I mean, she's she's got so much energy, and her lines are so funny, and she's got a lot of spunk. So once I saw the lines, I was like, oh, she's a lovable character. And that also took a load off my shoulders. But certainly, being the first one to voice her helped with the intimidation factor.
Amazing. What about playing a Transformers character that is effectively a child? Because obviously something that's quite unique about Earthspark compared to the rest of the franchise is the fact that they're Terrans, right? Spoiler guys, I think most of you have seen Earthspark, right? They're Terrans, they're not the Transformers that are for the war, they're brand new, born of Cybertron and of Earth. So they're kind of, and the series, certainly season 1 anyway, is about them growing and they're basically kid Transformers. Like, what was that like?
It was really cool because there's especially with all the new Terrans, there's excitement and there's a joy, and especially with Twitch, she's so eager to learn and to excel, and having that energy that she's got is a really fun thing to play. And actually, it becomes, as she goes along, she becomes a little bit more of a leader and comes into her own a little bit more, and becomes a bit more serious too, because it's higher stakes, and she's got to protect her family, and she feels like so much of it is on her because she is such a perfectionist in a lot of ways. And so it was interesting, just as from like a voice perspective, she starts off a lot more sort of young and spunky and ready to take everything on, and then as the seasons, as they go along, she does become a bit more serious. And so even as we're in the booth, and the director will just be like, okay, no, Twitch is like, she's more grounded now, she's more serious, she's more worried. And so just making that transition for myself was interesting, because I kept wanting to be the younger Twitch, the Twitch that just came on the scene. And she doesn't stay that way. She has to grow, because the world shows her the challenges that lay ahead, and that becomes something that worries her.
Yeah, definitely great. How much direction, you kind of already touched on already, but how much direction did you get on how to play Twitch? You just said that she grows, she gets a bit more serious, and she becomes a big sister when the other kind of newer Terrans come along. How much direction did you get through that character, or how much was just all your initiative?
Yeah, no, I think again, as she did grow, I did get more direction to be like, okay, she's more assertive now, or she's sure of herself, and she's concerned. These were all things that she didn't start off with, and so I definitely, there were moments where I was like, still like, here, like, we're gonna do this, and it was like, no, she's upset, she's sad, she's wanting to save the family, she thinks all the responsibility lays on her shoulders, and so changing that mindset along the way was something that, we worked through with the director.
Awesome. And then, what was it like working with the rest of the cast? Can you tell us a bit about that? Was it all studio, just your lines of studio, or was it you working as an ensemble?
So we started recording during COVID. It was in 2020, and the production was very conscious about making sure that we did group records on Zoom. So everybody, we had like a Zoom of whatever it was, like 15 people on there. For the first few episodes, I think it was like for, maybe like six or seven episodes, because they wanted everyone to like know each other and work off each other and feed off each other's energy, and that was really, really helpful. And then after that, it was sort of like, well, whoever could make the group records and working around people's schedules, and we did that for a little bit. And then this year, we were able to have actual in-person group course. Not with like everybody, but it would be piecemeal. So I mean, like, you know, me and Zeno and Sydney at one point, and me and Cyrus at another point. So it was really, really nice to then finally see each other in person. I hadn't met Zeno in person until I think it was like Comic-Con 2022. So it was like 2 years after working together. We actually ended up, you know, doing Comic-Con together in person. So yeah, it was cool to actually be in each other's physical presence.
Awesome. Okay. So what was it like kind of getting your, you know, you're there as a working professional, as an adult, and you're all working together with these seasoned professionals, especially the ones that are playing the adult Transformers. Because I genuinely do find that a really interesting dynamic of Earthspark that is so unique of having these, you know, you've got the actual like adults, right? You've got your Optimus and Megatron. Megatron, good guy side as well. It's like super unique. And then you've got the Terrans who are sometimes bothering them, sometimes needing saving, you know. How do you act as that relationship when you're playing a kid basically and they're adults?
Yeah. I mean, I think I can really like relate to the eagerness that Twitch feels, and you know, I mean, there was a time where like I went with the public health, and I remember like going out into the field with seasoned public health professionals and wanting to like prove myself that I knew what I was doing. And at that point, I was like in my early 20s, and there was this one incident where we went out and we were taking. This is kind of gross. We were taking blood samples from mice, and these mice had potentially certain diseases. And I remember like accidentally pricking my finger with a needle and being like, oh my god, I know, it didn't really happen. It didn't really happen. I don't think it happened. I know, I'm fine. Okay, everything's fine. Everything's okay. And then afterwards being like, hey, so I think I might have a needle stick injury. And everyone was like, and just being like, oh my gosh, now these guys are gonna like, they're gonna think I'm so unprofessional. They're gonna know what I'm doing. And so like, and I was going into that whole thing like so excited to be there and so ready to like take this thing on, and I'm wearing like that whole hazmat suit, and, you know, and that's how I felt with Twitch. It was like she's going into this thing and she's excited, but she doesn't really know what she's doing, and she wants to prove herself. And so for me that was just like a very relatable dynamic. Because I think I still actually have elements of that in other ways. And, you know, you want to temper your excitement and joy, but it's just, you know, when you get something as cool as, like, becoming a superhero, it's like, not easy to do, so. Hello? Not easy to do, so, yeah, that was very, very relatable for me.
Awesome. Speaking back of public health, do you think you'll ever be going dipping back into that life, or are you full acting all the way for the rest of your life now?
I don't see myself going back. I mean, as fun as it was to get a needle stick injury, I would rather do cartoon voices.
That's awesome. I mean, this might come up later, I'm sure it's a popular crowd Q&A. If there were another Transformer in theory, if you could get offered any Transformer role to do, say, on an upcoming project, who would you want to voice next?
Ooh. I will say that I really enjoyed that episode where we switched. Have you seen season 2 yet? Yeah. So there was an episode where I switched roles with
Spitfire.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I knew I could depend on you guys to get at the end of the day. And that was like one of my favorite things to do. So any kind of like villain or I mean, anyone who comes off as villainous, but is multifaceted. But that was one of the most, that was some of those fun times I've had, and I think so often I end up playing like a bubbly, fun role, and someone who's excited and young, and so for me it would be really exciting to get the opportunity to play like a darker role.
Play them, nice. We had that discussion with David Kane this morning, because obviously he's voiced, trying out, but he was talking about the joy of playing villains, where you can lean into a darker side, or I think he said like the Shakespearean side, if it's like a silly villain rather than like a really silly, like gritty villain. So he's like, I can go all theatrical and pull that out.
Yeah.
Is that something, play the villain then, do you think?
Yeah, always, this is like for either live action or, animation, whatever it is, like, I just really want someone to make me a villain. I don't know why nobody will. This is, that's always been a dream of mine ever since I was, there's something about being able to play with that dark side that would just be such a joy, and I'd like to be able to lean into that for a role, so hopefully one day, we'll see, but being able to do that character was super, super fun for me.
Awesome. Yeah, we need some more female villains. I haven't been too many in Transformers history. I mean, we need some more female characters in general, I would say. So, yeah, obviously with Transformers history, you're playing, one of the main characters being a sort of female, identifying a female-voiced, Transformer. What was that like? Do you say? Personify, robots are, Transformers quite, they typically are male. How did you get that character to come across as feminine without losing touch with being a Terran and being a Transformer?
Yeah, I think it helped because she is like a child and she's coming into her own powers. But first of all, it's amazing to be a female Transformer robot. It's incredible. But also just, again, when she does start to mature and starts to become more of a leader, and really takes on this huge responsibility, that's where her strength really comes in, and she makes that leap from being a child who's trying to figure it out to a real leader and an actual hero. And so, it's been nice to be able to see that dynamic play out and to grow into that as a female voice of a Transformer.
Awesome. On that thread, last year we had Maker, who obviously was one of the main writers on the show, and she spoke to us about a lot of the plots that she wrote and how she wanted it to be family focused, obviously hence with the Terrans, but also inclusive and getting a huge amount of diversity throughout the story. How was that, being involved in that kind of project?
Oh yeah, that was. I just wish there were more of those kinds of projects out there. I grew up in a very, very diverse community. I grew up in Oakland, California, and I grew up with so many people from so many different backgrounds in every way, shape, and form, socioeconomically, racially, culturally, and so often, because I grew up there, I was in a bubble, and I just assumed that the rest of, at least the country, was like that. It wasn't until I became an adult and I was like, oh, this isn't necessarily everywhere, but it's not also really reflected in media the way that I experienced it. And so to actually have programming that does reflect the world that I grew up in was wonderful. Just the fact that their father is, a Filipino, mother is a Black American woman. I have so many friends who are half Black and half Filipino from the Bay Area, and it was just like such a cool thing to actually see in the animation world. And it's also interesting because you see, there's so much more of that happening. At least that's what it feels in the animation world than it is still in the live action and also incredibly important. And of course, like the family dynamic is just so awesome because it's a very supportive family dynamic. Everyone is just recognizes one another's differences, and even if there are hiccups along the way, trying to figure out how to navigate that, everyone's just so supportive, and they want to celebrate your differences and help you be the best version of yourself. And the parents are so supportive and so loving, and you know, not trying to push their children into any sort of box, and just trying to figure. Everyone's trying to sort of figure each other out and be respectful of one another. And I think that's just so such a great goal for us to work towards, like as a society. So it's, yeah, so blessed that I've been pulled into that world.
You couldn't agree more. Of particularly the Molto family, how much kind of a character art did you get to see, as well as your own character actually? Did you get to see the art, the animation before you voiced it, or did you voice and then they, basically, what way around the animation go with your voice art, I guess?
Yeah, no, I don't think I saw any, definitely none of the animation. It wasn't animated before, it's always animated after, it's always animated to your voice. I'm trying to remember if I saw any kind of like, pictures of it, and I don't recall seeing anything beforehand. It wasn't until afterwards, and then of course when you're doing the ADR, or once the animation is out, then you're voicing to screen or to the action, then you get to see stuff, and that's really, really cool. But I didn't see what the animation was going to look like until way after I voiced it. And then once I did see it, I was like, oh, this is a really, really cool world. I mean, it's like, the animation is really pretty, it's very colorful, it like really pops and keeps you engaged. But yeah, no, I didn't know any of that stuff beforehand. That all came after.
Awesome, great. Okay, we're about on the hour past, so I'm going to turn to the crowd for some questions. Oh, we got some hands up straight away. Yeah, ask away, Justin. Justin's going to come around the mic.
Sorry, I only got here 15 minutes into the panel, so maybe you've already answered this, but what was your experience with the Transformers franchise before you got the role of Twitch? Like, did you see any of the shows or movies, or maybe even play with the toys?
Yeah, so I had said that no worries for coming in 15 minutes later. I have no problem chatting because I'm an actor, so I will keep talking as long as anyone wants me to talk. But I did grow up watching the original Transformers animation in the 80s because I am an 80s baby. So I watched that as a kid, and then I, didn't watch anything really until I'd only seen the first live action one, and I hadn't watched anything else. So I did have to sort of refamiliarize myself with the world again. Yeah, I had watched the original animation back in the day, a long, long time ago.
Hey, hi, this is like season 2 related, but how did it feel working with Flea, who was from Red Hot Chili Peppers, who's Aftermath, Zelda Williams was Spitfire, and Weird Al Yankovic, who was Cosmos? How does it feel working with them?
Yeah, I didn't even know Flea was a part of it until like much later. There's so many things that like they don't tell you until it's like done, and then it's just like, wait, what? How did I didn't know. But I did work with Zelda a few times, not in person, but on Zoom, and that was very surreal for me because I also was a big Rock Williams fan, so it was very hard not to sort of to be professional. it was difficult, but it was really, really cool, and I didn't even know she was going to be on it until she showed up on the Zoom.
Wow. And
then I was like, okay, ridiculous, cool. But yeah, no, it's very, it's cool. It's cool and it's surreal, and I wish there were more in-person group reports so that I could actually like experience that in the room. But either way, it's amazing.
Like about Weird Al, do you like working with Weird Al?
Sorry, what was that?
Weird Al Yankovic, was it like working with him?
I didn't get to work. I also didn't know that until after the fact. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Out of all of the Spike episodes you've recorded, which has been your favourite?
I think one of my favorites like in season 1, when Bumblebee is frustrated with trying to train the young Terrans, and Twitch is like kind of all over the place, you know. She's like in love with this cow, and then she's like, you know, trying to win stars in competition with Robbie, and that one was just a fun one to do, just from like a voice acting perspective. And also afterwards, when I watched it, I was just like, oh, this is like a really, really fun episode, and I could really relate to like her love of this cow. Like, it was really cute. So yeah, that was, I think, my favorite episode.
Thank you.
One of my favorites. I'm sure there's others that I'm not thinking of right now.
Great question. One of them right in front of me.
Hey, Kat.
Hi.
Over here.
Oh, hi.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
My question has nothing to do with, I mean, it's got nothing to do with Transformers in general or anything. I just wanted to know, what has the highlight been of your weekend? Is there a moment that has stood out for you the most? So maybe a fan or with a fellow guest or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually being at my table and being able to meet fans at the table, that's been really, really cool. I honestly didn't expect to see that many fans at the table, so it's just been really cool to have people come forward and you know, talk about what Twitch means to them and how much they enjoy the series, and those are always really great interactions, just talking to fans and hearing how the character or the show has impacted them. It's a really special interaction.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Sophie.
Oh, yes, hi, sorry, I can't see anything.
No problem. First I'd like to thank you for basically voicing effectively one of the first female lead characters in Earthspark. You've had lead characters before, but it's one of the few times when a female character has such a prominent role in the entire series. But I was wondering, did you feel any pressure, because the show's got a lot of quality in it, with obviously the main family being of colour, and did you feel any pressure to be sort of put across the moral side? Did you feel any kind of, because there's like a very young demographic as well to Earthspark. I know everybody, most people here are middle age or whatever, but it is really aimed at kids. So did you feel a pressure to put across a moral responsibility, become a role model kind of thing?
Oh, wow. I mean, I guess I do now. Well, I mean, you know, honestly, like, I kind of just, I mean, no matter what, just as like a citizen of the world, I feel like it would be, whether or not I was voice acting, obviously, when people are looking at you, you want to like lead a good example, and so I certainly feel that way across the board with anything that I do. I think, you know, there's a greater sense, I would assume there's a greater sense of that for the creators and the writers, because they're the ones who are really like building this world and building these characters, and probably have to find a way of striking a balance of like making it really, really entertaining, but also like sending some very important messages, which I think is hard to do. And I think they did a wonderful job of it. I just show up and say the lines. So it's less pressure on me, but I think just as a citizen of the world, moving around in this world, I do always want to at least aim to be a good person and show that, and I'm sure you all do as well. But yeah, I think in terms of the show, the creators have done a great job of that.
Great, okay, we've got a question there.
Alright, my drone! You're supposed to say, I'm not your drone, I'm Twitch! Or go to sleep mode.
Let's go from the top.
Okay. My name is Isaac Jones from Devon, Wales, and I just got this to say, I'm here's this. Do you know that both Zelda Williams and, Keith David, both voices from, Diviners,
Yes.
voiced both the Give and Commander Frogner in TMNT 2012. Also, I designed my own version of Jawbreaker for you to voice on Instagram until 2004.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Would you mind repeating? Was there a question?
I'm autistic.
He's mentioning about the presents over there.
There are presents.
There's a drone
How the hell
there
was
for
I
you.
about? I recycled the helmet for my old.
Is there a question?
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, but was there a question?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was.
Are you sure?
Yes, there was.
What do you want me to ask?
Well, you see, do you know that Zelda Williams is a Spitfire and Keith David, the sort of Crippler character TF.Spacestation-Online growing up, and both voice or have one voice. Give that and Amanda Frogner on TMNT 2012.
Did you know that Zelda Williams and Keith David had voiced previously on other shows like TMNT 2012?
I did not know that. No. Thank you. I had no idea. I appreciate you letting me know. Okay. Thank you.
First off, love you on the show.
Thank you.
I've got younger relatives who love Earthspark and love Twitch, so just good work.
Thank you.
And this is just a question. Spitfire, Chaos Karen in season 2. Was there ever any intent that, if there was any intent that you voice both characters? Because the body Spitfire from the Doctor episode and the body swap episode both seemed like they were written that way. Were there ever any talks about that? It ended up dropped, or am I just overthinking things?
So were there any talks about us switching the voices?
You voicing both Twitch and Spitfire.
Oh, was there any talk about me voicing both of them? No, there wasn't. It would have been cool, but no, there wasn't. It was, but there was a bit of a learning curve, I think, for both of us when we were trying to imitate the other person's voice. So, Zelda had to sort of come out of her very, very, dark and flippant mode and start sort of emulate how Twitch would respond. And so finding that balance was hard, I think, for me at least. I don't know about Zelda. But, it was like, no, still sound like Twitch, but have the cadence of Spitfire. And so that was a hard thing to wrap my head around. But I think once we got it down, it was a really, really fun thing to do.
Great. One right down there.
Hi.
What was your favorite Transformer when you were growing up? And out of the toys you had, which one was your favorite?
My favorite Transformer growing up, probably was Optimus Prime. Yeah, I think that was, I think a lot of our favorites growing up. And then, sorry, what was the second question?
Out of the toys you had, which toy was your favorite?
Oh, out of the toys I had, oh gosh. I guess it was Optimus Prime. I don't remember. I actually don't remember. But that's a good question.
So which episodes did you enjoy most of season 1? The ones that build the character of Twitch and the others, or the ones that drove the story with Dr. Mandroid and Decepticons? Did you have a favourite? Which part was it? And the second thing is, I did tell you, and it's not complete, but here it is.
I love it. It looks so good, and I have to take a picture with you later, if that's all right.
It's complete.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, my favorite episodes are always the ones where you get to see the dynamic of each Terran and them coming into their own, and that's for both season 1 and season 2. I really, really enjoy.
Haven't seen season 2 yet, but...
Oh, sorry, I won't say anymore. But I love watching the Terrans come into their own and seeing their personalities and seeing their dynamic with each other, and their conflict and how they resolve conflict, and those are always just really, really fun episodes.
And there's still some of that in season 2, actually. There's still development of the characters.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I think those are my favorite. When things start to get, when there's battles, it's fine, but I kind of really like the building of the characters.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we've got a question right about anything on that. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for coming to TF Nation.
Of course.
And silly little question. We know Twitch has lots of dads, from Wheeljack to so many. If you had to choose one character specifically from all across Transformers to be Twitch's dad, number 1 dad, who would it be?
Oh man. I mean, except for Dad too.
Wheeljack's pretty great.
Yeah, Wheeljack was
cool down.
it was very sweet. I know that episode made me emotional. I was like, oh, this is so, it's such a sweet, kind dynamic, and I have such a close relationship with my father that it was, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, can I say Optimus Prime? Yeah, probably Optimus. Yeah. Optimus basically dad.
That's a great question. Optimus. Okay, we've got one back left.
Okay. What do you think Twitch does in her spare time? Don't worry, I'll tell you. She Twitch streams.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, on Twitch.
Yes.
Yeah. Twitch on Twitch. Okay, got another one back.
Hi, thank you. It's actually a question from my daughter sitting next to me. So she's only young. She wants to know, what is it like being a cool female transformer? Can you give 3 words that best describe it?
What's it like being a cool female transformer?
Yeah.
It's cool, it's female, and it's a transformer.
That's gold. Okay, we got you down here.
Hi. So not just for Twitch, or it can be about Twitch, but how do you approach building a character voice?
I mean, so much of it is informed by, how the writers have sort of put it on paper, and usually the writers do a pretty good job of describing what they're seeing and what they want. And when I'm auditioning, I kind of what I've seen and what I'm gathering from what's written on the paper either aligns with what the creators have for the character, or it doesn't. And when it does align, then I get booked for the role, and when it doesn't, and there are a lot where it doesn't, I don't get the role. So yeah, it really is. I mean, any kind of creative endeavor is such like a synergy between so many different people, and when everyone sort of has the same vision, is on the same page, then it really does become a lovely creative effort by multiple people that are involved to bring a character to life. So yeah, so much of it is dependent on everyone just being on the same page. And once we're on the same page, then then I try to look at what I'm seeing and really find ways to relate in my own way. And I think the more you live, the more that you have experiences over time, the easier it is to look at something on in a script and find ways to relate to it. So even if it's not like a direct relation, but if she's excited about being a superhero, I can relate to that, like being excited about finally making the transition from public health to acting, you know, and so there are so many things that once you live, you're able to relate back to yourself, and that's sort of the acting game all the time, is how to bring it back to your own life in a way that is true to you and your own feelings.
Great question. We've probably got time for maybe 2 or 3 more, so we've got one here, and maybe 4, so you see how we're going.
Yeah, okay. So my question for you, and it could be about your work in Transformers or any role, but sometimes voiceover allows you to kind of ad-lib some of the script. Did you have any particular moment in the booth where you ad-libbed something, or like a standout moment for that maybe you were really proud of, or surprised you, or some surprise to like writers or something that worked with you? I don't know.
In Transformers, I've done some. I think there was that one episode where I get to like sort of, you know, speaking of, I think we were talking about singing and a musical. There's one where Twitch is like singing about how she's gonna get more stars than Robbie. That one, there was no tune to that, so it was just kind of like, you know, came up with my own tune. That was fun, and I always love to be able to sing. So when I get that opportunity, I hop on it. In the show Insecure, I don't know if you've watched it, but I haven't. We were allowed to improv a lot in that show, and also I worked with Christopher Guest a few times, and everything, of course, you do with Christopher Guest is all improvised. And so every time I've worked with Chris Guest, whether it was I did a PetSmart commercial where I was like a dog owner who was also very fashion conscious. That's like one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And I think it was like only on air for like 2 months or something. And I still will go back and watch that one just because it was so ridiculous, and he really picked some great moments. And I was so nervous playing out. It was my first time working with Chris Guest, and the whole time I was like, oh God, he's made a mistake. I can't believe he cast me. Why would he cast me? And I made like meditation tapes for myself where I was like, just positive affirmations set to like meditation music, like, you are funny, you are incredible, Christopher Guest loves you. And I listened to that every night, and I even listened to it in the car, like on the day that the commercial shoot was, and I like played it, and I was like, you are funny, you can do this, and then like went and shot it. And so it was like, the lead up to that was very nerve-wracking, but the payoff was great. And anytime I get a chance to improvise, it's a fun time.
Super.
Hi there. Hi. You mentioned that it was only a few years ago that you've been able to do the in-person recordings, and it's not the whole ensemble. So presumably there's going to be scenes where you're doing your lines, but you're not actually reacting to the character that's in the studio. How have you overcome that challenge? Is somebody else reading the line for you, or are you just doing like your best guess?
Yeah, I mean, usually we do have a booth director, so that helps, because she usually tells us like what's happening. But oftentimes, it's through her direction, it's through the direction that's on the paper, and then after that it is a best guess, and sometimes that best guess feels right for everyone in the moment, and then they animate it, and they're like, okay, more energy here, let's go back and redo this, or way too much yelling here, like we've decided to do this like in a library, you keep your voice down. So that's when we do our ADR, and we fix it. But yeah, for the most part, everyone's just sort of in there, using their imagination and going full force with that.
Thank you.
Great question.
If you were given the chance to voice Twitch in any other Transformers show, would you accept it?
Would I accept it? Absolutely. Please, let me voice Twitch anywhere else, of course. guess. Yeah, let them know that I want to do it.
Okay, we can do a couple more quick fire questions. I like it.
Hi there. Is it okay if I ask two questions? Is that okay?
Go on. That's two back to back. Go for it.
If there was any, you said that you were hired for the role to do Twitch. Was there any physical? Were you allowed to add any creation to the physical attributes of Twitch? Were you allowed to choose the color for Twitch?
No, I didn't get any input on like what Twitch looked like. They just sort of showed her, and I was like, ooh, no, they don't usually. At least they didn't come to me for any of that input. But yeah, that would be cool.
Second, sorry, this is a really silly question.
No,
if Twitch could go for a drive-through, what would she order?
She ordered a drive-through.
Oh, what would she order? I feel like Twitch is, she spends a lot of energy. And because she spends a lot of energy, I feel like she needs to eat a lot. So I assume she orders like everything that's on the menu. And probably a lot of sugar. So like milkshakes, you know, whatever desserts there, just she needs, because she's constantly on the go. So I'm gonna go with like a lot of like probably fried chicken sandwiches and milkshakes. That's what Twitch is eating.
Relatable. Okay, let's go. One last question here.
Can you do an impression of this crime or negative?
One last question to ask.
That's a difficult one to end on. Thank you so much. I can try to do the. Well, Twitch, what do you think you're doing? That's the new Megatron. I try to get that Scottish.
I like it. You can put up a pretty scary Scottish. I like that. Okay, I think that's it. That's our time, guys. So we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you.